Next up at UFC 310, we got Mikey Mav Chiesa taking on Max Griffin. Michael Chiesa, 17-7.
Why didn't you say Max Griffin's nickname?
Max Payne Griffin. Just because Mikey Mav flows. And I don't ever plan on saying nicknames. It just happens sometimes. Plus, I'm picking Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa, 17-7 in his career, 2-3 in his last 5. He's coming off that submission win over Tony Ferguson. Taking on Max Payne Griffin. 20-10 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He is alternating wins and losses. Michael Chiesa, while he is becoming an analyst and he's in front of the camera far more often, he's still fighting. He's still an active fighter on this roster. He just fought a senior citizen, likely put him into retirement. But he looked pretty good in that fight. He can still get some... He didn't look good in that fight? He didn't look good in that fight? Yes, he bullied a small old man, but still.
That really happened. I mean, Tony was kind of pressuring him, and he just kind of, it's a little jab he was throwing out there didn't look great. I mean,
he got it to the ground, and he got his submission. Paddy Pimblett couldn't submit him. Michael Chiesa did. Anyway, Michael Chiesa, very one-dimensional fighter. He wants to come forward, get the takedowns, work on the ground. Pretty solid grappler, okay wrestling, okay hands. He's got a ton of experience at all levels. He's been fighting at a high level for a while now. He's not particularly athletic. He's not very strong. He's not very fast, but he grinds. He comes forward, he grinds. And if he can get the takedowns, he can have a good amount of success. He's taking on Max Griffin. Powerful striker, some incredible knockouts. He has a total of 8 knockdowns in the UFC. If you go back and watch his fight against Ramiz Brahimaj, he had Ramiz's ear hanging off by a thread. Literally almost punched that dude's ear off of his head. It was disgusting. He's also a decent grappler in his own right. He averages about 2 takedowns per fight, and he is coming off that pretty close win over Jeremiah Wells back in February. And Michael Chiesa is pretty much at the end of his career here, right? He's got a couple of fights left. He'll move into the analyst desk, does a pretty good job there. He is the younger fighter in this matchup somehow. Shockingly, the younger fighter in this matchup.
He's only 36, isn't he?
I know, and I thought he was like 42. Like, he just seems...
It's getting, his beard's getting grayer and grayer. I think that...
I mean, that might be what it is. And he's been
especially
around for a while.
because usually you see him just... Especially now, you see him like in his analyst suit, so all you see is that gray beard.
Yeah.
And then when he fought Tony Ferguson, he takes his shirt off, you're like, oh, he's still fucking Michael Chiesa. I mean, he's still jacked as shit. He doesn't look old at all.
And I was surprised. Like, part of the... I'll move now. Part of the benefit of doing this graphics is a pain in the ass. It takes me a couple hours a week to do these. It's annoying. But it does, like, make you look at these stats. And as I was typing it up, I was like, holy shit, Max Griffin's older? And I looked and I came back. I'm like, he is older. Which is a helpful little tip there. Because,
you know what the craziest part of that, and I put on Twitter, that Vicente Luque is younger than Temba.
Yeah, that was another one where I was like, damn, dude. But fight years are different than just walk the earth.
Oh,
years.
you don't know shit.
Okay. Ultimately, I am going to pick Michael Chiesa here, though. I think he can get a takedown. Max Griffin's takedown defense is okay. It's not great. Michael Chiesa is going to stick to a game plan. He's going to come forward, and he's going to get it to the ground. If he gets it to the ground, I think he'll have plenty of success. If he can't get it to the ground, then, yeah, he's not the better striker, and he'll lose. So I'm going to pick Michael Chiesa. Very low confidence in that pick. Not going to bet it in all likelihood. Maybe a plus 3.5. But, you know, if we go by the criteria we broke down earlier, do I think it goes to a decision? Probably. Is Michael Chiesa tough? He's pretty tough. Is he a huge dog? Not really. So that plus 3.5, I don't know what the odds are going to be. But I am going to pick Michael Chiesa here, but fully aware that he doesn't win a striking match, and he's going to need to get it to the ground. What do you think, Jakey boy? Oops. I was already on your slide.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of a couple people this week that, you know, I know Angelo talks about, oh, I've done this, and I was in the Connor documentary and this and that. And me and Angelo, if you guys didn't know, were just featured in a movie. If you want to check the other, 2 weeks ago live stream, we featured that, I think, in
the Burden of 9 Lives.
Yeah, the Burden of 9 Lives, we were in that, and Angelo thinks he's hot shit. But I also, you know, this week was featured in a couple videos. You know, Max Griffin put together a highlight video, had me do a little voiceover work, you know, something light. And then, you know, Eric Anders as well. You know, he put me in his also, you know, a little voiceover work. People really like the sultry velvet tone that I bring to a cinematic feature. And I just want to thank them for doing that. You know, gonna have to invoice you for it. Gonna have to invoice you for it. But I like Max Payne Griffin. I have nothing against Michael Chiesa. Honestly, when that fight started, I was pretty high on Tony that week, that I thought he had a real shot versus a guy like Michael Chiesa, because I didn't think that the grappling advantage was going to be as strong as it was. I mean, he just wrapped up Tony Ferguson like he has never done jiu-jitsu in his fucking life, which was impressive because Tony typically is pretty wiry and hard to hold on to on the ground. So hats off to that. But in the striking, I was like, oh, I think Tony actually is going to have a chance, because he wasn't doing anything crazy. Coming in against a Tony Ferguson that we've seen, you would have thought he'd be just a little bit more aggressive. He looked a little bit tentative, passive. And Max Griffin is a guy that should beat a lot more people than he does. He is a very talented guy. He has like 8 split decisions, I think, in his entire career, which is absolutely insane, because sometimes he just doesn't quite do enough. And I think this is Max Griffin's fight to lose. He's going to be able to pressure Chiesa. He should be able to counter wrestle Chiesa. Max Griffin is a good wrestler. He has takedowns on his own. And Michael Chiesa isn't like this overly dominant wrestler, right? He can get taken down. He can get out grappled as well. He's been submitted. So if Max Griffin wants to shoot a takedown to win rounds at the end, I think that's not a bad game plan. He just got to do enough while he's pressuring. Throw something out there. Keep active in the striking. I just think he can win the striking and counter wrestling, and I'm actually kind of high on Payne Griffin this week. He has been my lock of the week before, so maybe I'm biased. That's my dude, and I'm taking him to get it done.
Listen, I don't hate that pick. It makes sense. It's logical. I just think Michael Chiesa will be able to get it to the ground. The biggest concern for Michael Chiesa needing to get it to the ground is he is not a dominant wrestler. He can wrestle, but he's not like a phenomenal wrestler.
He's a high school wrestling coach.
Correct. But where what was his Division I credentials? Like that's the
he was T-Rex coach.
Correct, in high school. But what does give us hope is we just saw Charles Oliveira, who never wrestled a day in his life, out-wrestle the shit out of college wrestler Michael Chandler. So ultimately, credentials don't mean anything. When you're inside the cage, you could time your things well. Jacob and I are split on this fight. I do believe one of us has a little bit of money on it. If you do want to check that out, WeWantPicks.com.
It's me.
It's him. Check that WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. At the top, it's only freaking $10. What the hell could possibly prevent you from checking that out? DraftKings Fantasy 7,900, 8,300. I don't think either one's going to be worth it. I think it's a decision.
I think we might be able to see one of those vintage Max Payne just throw a right hand down the fucking middle and drop his ass finishes. I think we could.
Well, then $8,300 would be some of the best value on this card.